Hello and welcome back to the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast. My name is Michael Crosa. I'm here with Elaine Zambos, and we are in Wavelength Space in beautiful downtown Chattanooga. Elaine, what is our topic today?
We're going to talk about what's more important, to be successful or to be significant.
I can't even imagine where we're going to go with that. All right. This episode of the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast is brought to you by Heather Hendrickson of the Hendrickson Agency, your favorite insurance gal. Heather helped me personally find the best insurance for my home, and so I recommend her to all of my friends as well. A good referral for Heather would be friends, family, or clients who are going through new experiences in life. It could be a new home, a new move, maybe a new baby. Find the Hendrickson Agency on Facebook or Instagram, or linked in the show notes below. Okay, Elaine, I've been thinking lately about whether I should be successful or significant, and I can't decide. Help me out. Which is better?
Well, I don't know that either one is better. It's what you want.
Oh.
So when you say successful, what does Michael being successful look like?
Okay, I think that my gut reaction is successful means more of like maybe financial, or that it's kind of like a personal measure, right? Of either my business is doing well, the bank account's growing, I'm not worried about, the next paycheck or next funding or anything like that.
Sure. So yeah, I think as a whole, we all think of success as, the freedom of money, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't ever
have
to worry about money anymore, or we think about success as not only having money, but then having lots of time, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to do the things we want to do with the people we want to do them, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. So, and I think, as a society as a whole, we think of success as that person who drives the nicest car. They have a nice car. They have the right address. They live in the best neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They have all of the stuff, right?
Right.
And so we think of that as success.
Sure.
Right. And so we've all heard, what is the saying? Money doesn't buy happiness.
Right. Yeah.
But can happiness buy success?
Okay. Wow. I don't know if that was a real question or not, but I'm going to try to answer it. I think, we talked about before the law of attraction, and you talked about the idea of like being able to name what you want, put it out there in the universe. And I think if you're happy and that gives you a better position to do that from, right? Mm-hmm. You can have a positive attitude. You can put that out. You can be more likely to achieve success than somebody who's miserable or not happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I also think, I've heard people tell me, like super successful people, I've asked before, like, what's been the happiest moment of your life? Mm. And typically it's not when they went and bought, the great big Range Rover SUV.
Yeah, the big house.
Or the big house, right. It was when they were maybe even struggling a little bit, or in a situation where things weren't as easy for them financially, but around them, the relationships they had were amazing to them, right?
Yeah.
And so I just spent about 2 weeks with family. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, that's when it really hit me, the difference between success and significance. Because I heard over the last couple of weeks so many incredible stories about my brother. And how he has touched all of these different lives, right? Like everybody from little bitty kids to people much older than our parents, right?
Right.
And so I stepped away from that and I went, my brother may not have been successful in the eyes of society as far as bank accounts and fancy cars and the right address or any of that, but he was so significant because he had touched so many lives and the different stories that people told me about him. Like I had my own story, right?
Yeah.
But the other stories that people would tell. And so Dr. Ivan Misner on stage a few years ago, Dr. Ivan Misner being the founder of BNI, and on stage, he was sharing, whose story are you in? And that was the topic, right? Whose story are you in? And so, I was thinking about, my BNI story was when I was in Indiana and the guy across the hall kept inviting me to go to a BNI chapter meeting every Friday. You want to go to lunch? No. You want to go to lunch? No. You want to go to lunch? No. Finally, I ran out of no's and I went. Sure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
This is it.
I want to be a part of BNI. And so Benji, that was his name. So Benji is part of my story, right?
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Chattanooga, Josh, he is the person who invited me to BNI. So Josh is a part of my story.
Right.
Right? So, but as we flip that, whose story are we in?
Yeah.
And to me, that's what makes it significant, because we don't always know whose story we're in or what significant difference we're making to people.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
deep.
It is deep. It is
Yeah.
deep. But it's really, when you think about it, it gives you a whole different perspective or a different way to look at life.
So Elaine, like in your life, what does it mean to be significant?
So I think for me to be significant is to know that I help somebody else achieve their goals and help them be a better person because of the relationship we created. And so as I think about it, of course we all want our bank accounts to have a great number in it. But I think I want my relationship bank account to be more full.
Wow.
Because if my relationship bank account is full, I'm going to have a full life and the people around me will have a full life. And hopefully that will trigger and we can all be rich in relationship and we can all make a very significant difference in people's lives.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, people may not, if I loan you money, and you're like, wow, Elaine's great, she loaned me some money. But at the end of the day, you may not remember that, but
Sure.
you're going to remember how I make you feel when we're together.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
to me, that's what I was thinking about, what do I want? Do I want to be successful or do I want to be significant? And my brother taught me, I want to be significant.
Do you have any stories that were shared about your brother that you'd be willing to share with us?
Oh my gosh, there were so many. There was this little boy that I've never met before, and he was just so distraught. And his father was very distraught as well. And so I introduced myself and I asked him his name, and he said, he told me his name. He says, my name is Jim. And he said, this is my son. And he said, the little boy said, your brother is my best friend. He called me his little buddy.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was his little buddy. And the father of the guy who said little buddy, he said, you know what? I didn't have a dad. And
Wow.
your brother has always acted like my adopted father. So this is like my father. And so this is my son's grandfather.
Wow.
I know. That was huge to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, that was really
That's
got me.
significant.
It's very
That's
significant.
very significant.
Yeah, that he made not only was he significant to Jim,
Yeah.
he was significant to little buddy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there were so many stories like that. But
Yeah.
that's what made me really think, like, success is great. We can all be successful.
Right.
And people can be successful and be significant in a bad way. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Right?
could be the villain in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can.
You can be successful.
Wow.
But I think being significant and being rich in relationship, I think that's the course for the next chapter of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is definitely a very meaningful episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for that food for thought. Yeah.
Thanks.
This podcast is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios, helping businesses and organizations make a deeper connection with their audience through the art of podcasting. An ideal referral for me would be a professional organization with a state or national presence. You can get in touch with me, Michael Crosa, by going to chatpod.com. That's chat with 2 T's, like Chattanooga, which is linked in the show notes below. All right. Well, this has been another great episode of the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I want to give a big shout out to Wavelength Space for letting us record in their studio, and Mad Honey Rentals for the beautiful set behind us. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast on YouTube, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, CastBox, whatever it is that you're listening on. We'd love to have you as a subscriber, rate, review. That really does help us a lot. And Elaine, I'm a new dad. And I love dad jokes, so I hear you got one for me.
I do. So do you know why the naughty lamb dressed up as a skeleton for Halloween?
I don't know why.
Because the lamb was bad to the bone.
Oh, well, thanks so much for listening to the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast. We'll see you next time.